I understand that Labor will split this call. David?
Yes, thank you, Mr Speaker. The decision made today, sir, has meant that our troops will be going to Iraq, and I don't think there'll be anybody in the Labor Party that doesn't wish them well and hope and pray that they come back safely. Sir, in 2003, New Zealand was under extreme pressure, like today, to send troops to Iraq. We had the courage to say no. And I don't believe there's a New Zealander around today that doesn't believe that that was the right decision to make. The National Party wanted to go. And here we are 12 years later, and they're in government, and they're sending our troops into an infinitely more complex situation to do an even less exact and understood role in Iraq. Sir, this decision is one that we will regret. It was a decision that was made months ago by John Key when he was talking to his allies. It was a decision that we already knew about, if not just because we knew that the military had been training for all of that time. And since then we've had a huge number of justifications of why this is necessary, and some of those have been rehearsed out again today. So going to war is one of the most difficult decisions a government can make. And the acid test is, if there is going to be casualties, we can honestly look those families in the country in the eye and say that their lives were not lost in vain. Sir, our forces will be going to Iraq to make no appreciable difference to the situation there. And any assessment, and I know as well as anybody else, knows that that is the case. So the only reason I can see for us being there is to be part of the club, as it's called. And for me, sir, that does not stack up as a sufficient and adequate reason. There's a time to stand by our allies, but we should make that decision independently on the basis of the difference we can make and how effective we can be. And sending our people into harm's way to be part of a club is not sufficient for that sacrifice. It's about doing something, this government says, doing something even if it's stupid. Sir, that's what it's all about. Our troops won't enter under any conventional status of a forces agreement under which we've always sent our forces away in the past. We will be carrying diplomatic passports. It's a shonky deal, a ruse to get around the fact that the Iraqi government is so divided that they would be unlikely to agree to a status forces agreement. And that gives you some idea of how universally appreciated our presence will be in Iraq. The troops they'll be training are likely to be heavily infiltrated by radicals. And we've just heard today that on Taji itself, there will only be 16 specialised trainers available on that base. 16. So you can imagine that after $25 billion of US investment, hundreds of US lives lost, and 10 years of training, this is what we will contribute, and we believe that risk is appropriate. And what will they seek to achieve? Well, hopefully a better equipped army. But we know that the Iraqis can shoot straight. That's not the issue. The problem is with the officers that have been withdrawn and plucked out of the Iraqi army and replaced by relatives and friends of those in power. The corruption, sir. The militias who are now more in control than conventional forces. And sir, how are we going to fix that? Well, quite simply, sir, we're not. We've never been afraid to go into a conflict, but Iraq is a situation where we cannot make a difference. Yet we subject our troops and New Zealanders in this country to increased risk from engagement. And sir, this will be a decision we regret.
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Phil Goff.
Mr